Thanks for joining me. Why are so many Orthodox churches in Eastern Europe being attacked and persecuted? Well, we've discussed a couple of reasons. The geopolitical lens focuses on NATO's expansion to Russia's borders over the past 30 or so years. The other is the ecclesiastical lens, which focuses on the actions of the ecumenical patriarch, creating a new Thomas for the schismatics, legitimizing them into the OCU creation. So what other factors is there in this difficult and painful issue? We'll find out after I share the latest news out of Estonia and Moldova. I'm going to tell you what's been going on here because it's very important. This was from March 2025. Constantinople's Estonian Church supports ban of Estonian Orthodox Church of Moscow Patriarchate. They were looking into banning the church back then, the Estonian Orthodox Church. Now you see here, the Patriarchate of Constantinople's Estonian Apostolic Orthodox Church came out in support of a ban on the larger Estonian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchate. I will tell you that in this information here that I've looked up, this is a very similar situation to the Ukrainian Orthodox Church because let's put it this way, more than 10 of Orthodox churches, the Patriarchates and all that, support the canonical Estonian Orthodox Church that has the ties to Moscow. So very few, the EP and some Greek churches, and probably the Romanian church, support the other Estonian Orthodox Church, the smaller one. So there's another similarity here, okay? So I'm going to tell you that they are now, the president of Estonia had put in a appeal in October 2025 regarding, he felt like there was an issue that was not a freedom issue. It was I'm going to bring this up and show you. Estonian Supreme Court begins hearing president's appeal against anti-Orthodox law. So this began a while ago. There was President Karas declined. Okay, so his petition is challenging amendments to the Churches and Congregations Act as unconstitutional. Okay, so to give you a little information here. So the president argues that the law disproportionately restricts freedom of religion and association with the concept of threat, defined too vaguely and too broadly, while existing legal tools are sufficient to address security concerns without interfering in religious doctrine. The law targets only activities unrelated to spiritual life, such as propaganda and disinformation, and does not interfere with matters of faith, representatives argued. This is always how they say security threats. We saw in Ukraine's example that such connections carry security risks. Okay, that's what they're afraid of. Now, the Estonian Orthodox Christian Church and the Potisa Convent argued that the law was written specifically to restrict the EOCC, that's the Estonian Orthodox Christian Church, due to its ties to the Moscow Patriarchate. Church representatives contended that requiring them to change their canonical subordination violates legal predictability and uses undefined concepts that allow for arbitrary application. They argued the measure may actually increase threats by causing feelings of injustice and discrimination. Now, the Estonian Council of Churches, while condemning Kremlin support for the war in Ukraine, expressed concern that the state is interfering with one church's self-determination, thereby creating a dangerous precedent. Again, it's very similar. As I said, very similar to what is going on with the Ukrainian thing, except that the OCU, it was created from the schismatic groups that were legitimized. I don't think the other church is a schismatic one, but all I know is that most of the Orthodox churches recognize the Estonian Orthodox Christian Church, okay, as the canonical. With that information, that's going on right now. It's going to be in March when the Supreme Court will come to a decision. It's expected at the end of March. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, I'm going to also tell you about the Moldovan church because I've said in the past the Moldovan priest back in around Pascha, he wanted to go to the Holy Land to receive the holy light, the holy fire, and bring it back, but they prevented him from leaving the country. So it's been really tough on the Moldovan church. Lots of persecutions as well there. I think it's the same kind of thing. So let's go back in here and I'll tell you what's really disturbing about this particular piece. Is that the parishioners, there is now church seizures happening in Moldova. In this case, the parishioners defended the church from seizure attempt amid escalating religious tensions. There is a video on it. I can show you part of that. It's in a different language, so I'll turn this down. We don't really need to hear that. So it's basically showing what's going on. You'll see they're still talking and they're still waiting there. They're defending the church. They're talking to people from the church. So I won't get into that too long, but there's a very important portion here that I want to share with you. On January 27th, parishioners of the Russian Orthodox Church's Moldovan Orthodox Church in the village of Dorenu prevented an attempted takeover of the Dormition of the Mother of God Church by representatives of the Romanian Orthodox Church's metropolis of Bessarabia. I didn't know that was going on. Clergy from the metropolis of Bessarabia then arrived from various regions, including these places, but local residents blocked their entry into the church. A former Moldovan president, Igor Dodon, condemned the incident as blatant church raiding, stating that the metropolis of Bessarabia, with the assistance of the country's leadership, continues attempts at forcible seizure of churches belonging to the metropolis of Moldova. Okay, let me try to explain this. The Romanian Orthodox Church is on the same side as the EP. It's against what's happening it's against Moscow. It's against basically, it doesn't agree with them. And so they're trying to bring in as many of the Moldovan Orthodox to their church in Romania as and some are going, some are going towards the Romanian church because they don't want to be under the Moscow Patriarchate, okay? But then there's the others that are staying, which is more of a majority that are staying where they are under the Moscow Patriarchate. The issue is the Moldovan Orthodox, they have a choice, either the EP or the Moscow Patriarchate. And some of them want to stay with the Moscow Patriarchate, and some want to go toward the Romanian, which would put them under the EP, the Ecumenical Patriarch. So there's this split, again, between all these countries. That's what I wanted to share with you. That is going on. It's not good having other Orthodox churches, real Orthodox churches, trying to seize other real Orthodox churches seize them for their own metropolis, So that's a real problem here. And what I've thought about over this whole issue that I haven't brought up before, that I'm going to bring up to you now, is that all these countries, the way I understand it, were Eastern Bloc countries under the Soviet Union that are having these issues, such as Estonia, such as Latvia is another issue. That they also have things going on there. I think Lithuania, we have Moldova, we have Montenegro, we have all these churches that were under the oppression of the USSR. When the fall of the Soviet Union happened in 1991, these countries that were under the oppression, including Romania and all the others, okay? Romania had the worst communist leader. I mean, he was satanic, okay? I'll just say that. So Romania is very, very anti-communist after the torture, basically, that they were under with this terrible leader. I can't remember his name, Ceausescu or something like that. And so once they were out from under that oppression and persecution, they were beginning to gain their independence. They had to work through that and gain their independence and have this independence they hadn't had for decades, So with what has happened in the last few years, though, I think it's gotten worse with what happened with the coup in 2014 and then Russia's invasion. So what's happened over these last few years, anything that looks restrictive or like a power move from Russia, it triggers these countries back to the trauma they received under Soviet rule. The trauma, it's wounds that haven't totally healed, and I don't know if they ever will. So this is a major factor in why the governments of these countries, out of fear and wounds and trauma over the past being persecuted by the Soviet rule, and of course the communist rule from Romania was, like I said, really bad. So the primary driver of the governments of why this is happening, it's bled into the churches. There's fear in the churches of Russia. There's a worry over that. There's they have this anxiety, this fear. What's going to happen? Are we going to end up like we did? Is Russia going to turn into the USSR again? They have this idea, this fear that this is going to happen. So even though the Russian government has said on numerous times, they don't want to take over European countries, but this trauma is so deep, they can't see anything else. So you take in that historical context, along with the ecclesiastical issues and the geopolitical issues, and you see why we're in this place now, why this is happening. So, as you know, we know what's coming. We know what's going to be coming. We just need to pray. Pray that what's to come is lessened, as I said. Pray for the unity of our church, that these situations eventually would be worked out, and that the church, the church is not going to disappear. The gates of hell will not prevail against it. We just need the unity back, but I don't think that's going to happen until the new crew, as we said, right? After World War III, whoever's left. But keep the prayers up with all that's involved in this, all our churches and leaders, patriarchs, and all. I hope you got something out of this, that you found this interesting. Thanks so much for watching, for following my channel. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing if you like my content. Like my videos for my algorithm, helps the algorithm. Share your thoughts on this particular factor that I have not discussed at this time on this channel. So it's a big piece that has been missing in this. So again, thanks so much.